Buenas tardes, ladies and gentlemen. ¿Cómo están? See, today we're going to call today Filibuster Friday. Why? Well, because I want to hear from you. See, you're conservative New Rican, La Voz de Libertad. We want you to call in today and let's talk because we're getting into the Friday. So much has happened, and this weekend is going to be a beautiful weekend, no matter what. Let's just say it that way. So, see, mira, I'm going to read you something. Life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. That is John C. Maxwell. See? Oh man, I'll tell ya, I've been here in Miami the last week, and I think it's called Surfside, the town of Surfside. Beautiful views. If you're on social media and you're taking a look at the visual, at the cameras that we have there, you will note on the bottom right of the corner, I have a little video going where you could see just a little bit of the beach area here, and I think that's important because I was looking at the temperatures in Rochester and they seem a little chilly. Just kidding. Anyways, 346-3000, area code 585. Call us toll free, 866-552-1009. So, you know, yesterday I had a couple of guys on my show that I met here at the hotel that we're at Trump International. Two young guys, and I hope you had a chance to listen because you know what I was hoping to do is to be able to show you two things. One is that for the last 4 years, or at least this undercurrent, this anti American undercurrent, has truly been going after our youth. Now, I remember a long time ago. Probably 20, maybe even 25 years ago, someone had introduced me to these agendas, right? Like Agenda 2020, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2050. And you hear all this. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to start looking into those. And when you read them, it's like, well, that's a conspiracy theory. There is no validity to that. But I remember, I think it was Agenda 2020, and it had talked about how starting, I don't know, it was like 20 or 2005 or something like that, or maybe sooner. I don't remember the details. But I do remember that the intent of that agenda was to be able to influence our youth in grade school, right? Shifting their mentality, shifting their perception of things, shifting basically shifting the culture. And listen, listen, man, they as in those, whoever it is that those are, and I'll tell you, the signers were real. Bill Clinton, the Bushes, and the list goes up and down. People that you know, so I knew it wasn't fake, right? But they did. They absolutely have shifted our youth, right, to one that has been more victimhood than anything. So when I get a chance to highlight kids that aren't my own, and I say kids, 24, 19, most of my kids are older than those two gentlemen, right? Not by much, but older. But when I say kids, I mean that group of people who are going to be leading this country, leading this country in the future. Many of them, since those agendas are grown up, many of them are seeking elected positions. Hey, Fred, thanks for the happy Friday. I do appreciate that. Dr. Bob and Bobby D, Fred says hello to you too. Fred, remember, I am in the, oh man, I'm like way out in the sunny areas of Miami, Fred. I'm sending you some sunshines if you look at the bottom of the screen there. But anyways, see, youth engagement in New York has been kind of weird because if we're not, I guess I should say, if the narrative has not been less than subpar for our children, then I don't know what is. And these two guys, I think, showed that they're entrepreneurs. Forget about the fact that they like Trump, because the reasons why they liked Trump, the reasons why they voted for Trump, the reasons why they voted, period, and registered as such to vote as Republicans, is because they said it themselves, especially the 19-year-old. This guy's a role model, right? He espouses things like good business, good ethics, right? And I know some of you are going to say, no, that's not true, Peter. Trump's a jerk. I'll tell you what. And if you remember, I had a Democrat on my show. I had a Democrat, very Democrat, Kamala supporter. You guys remember? You called him in that day. And listen, right? It's not about for a lot of these Democrats, it's not anything to do with policy. It has to do with we don't like Trump. Oh, he's just so mean to me. Oh, he just says things that I'm like, okay, cool. You know what? But when this guy is influencing young Americans, right, to sit there and become entrepreneurs, or let me back up a little bit, to not sit there, but become entrepreneurs, now we've got magic happening, right? Now that's magic. So, I was looking up some, just some fun information as we were getting ready for this show, and a Pew Research survey showed that 60% of young New Yorkers over the age or around the age of 18 to 29 feel optimistic about their ability to influence change. 40% express concerns over the polarization of and misinformation in the media. Hmm. Now, this survey was done in 2023. I don't have an exact. I don't have an exact a month on that, but it was done in 2023. Right, the presidential race was already, kind of kicking off. There was a lot of rhetoric going on, and well, you know what? Youth decided that they wanted to get involved. Now, they're still one of the lowest voting blocks out there, but many are now starting to pay attention. I'll tell you, my kids, all of them, from my youngest to the top, because remember, 3 of my 5 kids bought houses at the age of 19. I got, they get it. I made sure they got it. That's the thing with me. And yesterday, Dante kind of showed that, right? One of my guests, and so did Isaiah, right? They had parents that had standards for them. They had parents that established a work ethic within them. It all started there. Now remember, in New York State, the state is saying they know better than you. And with this Prop 1, let's see what happens, right? Many youth-led demonstrations on issues such as racial justice and women's rights has occurred in New York City and college campuses like Syracuse and SUNY Buffalo. And see, that right there just kind of, to me, it confirms. What's your opinion, right? But to me, that confirms that these policies in this state, these elected officials that are in this state have bamboozled so many people because, and we're going to get into some of the deeper things here in a second, but they've bamboozled our young people. They truly have. I mean, check this out. Blending profit making with purpose. For example, youth entrepreneurs are leveraging platforms like Etsy and Shopify to sell some of their locally made stuff. Kids like to do trinkets. And youth, or New York youths, I should say, make up about 15% of the sellers on Etsy, right? And the thing is this, though. The thing is this, right? Etsy, Shopify, all those online things. I love all those things. They're phenomenal resources. But the thing is, though, where is it that our youth have programs or at least role models like entrepreneur hubs for them to be able to go and say, hey guys, can you help me? Right? Can you help me take the next step for my business? Because I want to move from an online platform to talking to people directly. So, you know what? I'm going to suggest this because today, right? Today is National Philanthropy Day, a day dedicated to recognizing and celebrating the charitable contributions of individuals and organizations, right? And how does this tie into youth engagement? Well, check this out. In 2003, individual donors contributed $374 billion, right? Accounting for 60%, 67% of the total charitable giving. Now, I asked this, and this is why I bring it up. What I'd like to see is some of that 5.5 or 557.16 billion dollars to kind of be broken up, going directly into the hands of these youth, whether it be through a foundation that is set outside of the state, because many of the programs that the kids are being pushed on are the state. And listen, the guy Dante yesterday, he had said something like he said his mom gave him money or and helped him with leads. Donald Trump is criticized because his father gave him some $1 million or something that he turned into billions and continued going there. And the thing is, all that was done without state involvement. See, I think that we can take our youth. For example, the news talked about a 16-year-old with gunshots. Jaden Robinson, 19-year-old. I mean, these are the kind of things we're seeing in New York, which kind of things we're seeing in Detroit. And why? Why? Listen, the philanthropy is there in New York State. The resources is there and throughout this country. Why can't we have a system in New York State, in Monroe County, that really pushes our youth in a positive way instead of this whole victimhood mentality that this governor insists? Mira, soy yo, tu conservative Nuyorican, with the Next Step show aquí on the best station around, La Voz de Libertad, your voice of liberty. We'll be right back. Don't change that dial. Uh, I think so. Depends if I get callers or if I talk too much. Am I babbling, Bob? Okay. Hey. Hey, Bob, let that play for un segundo, por favor. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Next Step show. I'll tell you, I love that song. I really do. I like country. If you looked at my phone list, if you looked at my phone and you looked at all the genres that I have for music, you'd be like, wow, this guy just cannot settle on one. I love all music. And I dislike all music that encourages our children or our adults to do bad things. And I surely don't like any music that is anti anything or anti American. But man, I'll tell you, Chicken Fry, I love that song. Talking about Chicken Fry, ladies and gentlemen, right? Check this out. Today is also Pack Your Mom's Lunch Day. And I'm just going to take a quick second to address this one because, like most of you, I have to assume you love your mom too, right? And Rosemary, think, oh, you guys heard that? Oh man, I better hit that mute button better next time. Um, thank you, Rosemary. But today, it's national, or it's Pack Your Mom's Lunch Day. It's observed annually on November 15th. It was established in 2011 by Lola's Diner to encourage individuals to acknowledge, right, the often overlooked efforts of moms who regularly prepare meals. And see, this is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I like highlighting, especially days, things like this, because again, in New York State. And I'm telling you, I've talked to more. My wife's like, we're on vacation. You don't need to talk to so many people. But I'm like, I want to know because, we tend to live within our few blocks. And then, you get people like Hocus Pocus and the Buffoon, and you get people like Jamie Romeo and Adam Bello and all these jokers sitting there filling you a crock of crap. Right. And of course, because we live in our bubbles sometimes, and because the government of New York State has made it so difficult for people to stick their heads above water and see, right, and breathe, we don't always get to see what's really happening all over the country. Which is why Dante and Isaiah were so important to me to have him on the show yesterday. Which is why I'm telling you that I'm in Miami. I'm telling you the conversations I have. Listen, I'm talking to people that came from Colombia when they were younger, and they were so excited to be here because they have an opportunity for growth. They're like, listen, if we wanted to be dependent on our government, we would have just stayed where we were because our governments are telling us what to do. They don't always feed us. But check this out, by taking the time to pack a lunch for your mom, right? I love you, Mom. And I love you, Christine, for being the best mom in the world. No diss to other moms, because I'm sure you are all phenomenal moms, right? But listen, that doesn't only offer a break, that also acknowledges the fact that in your heart, you know that mom is key, that mom and dad, but moms hold a special role. Right? Dads will discipline you. Dads will love you. Dads will do all that stuff too. And dads play a big role in the family. We know that. Right? Pero mommy, I'll tell you, that's a woman, right? In most cases, that just will love you no matter how angry you make her. So ladies and gentlemen, don't just pack a lunch for your mom today. Pack a lunch for your mom every day. Every day. Rosemary, you asked about the young lady. You're talking about Aisha Kreutz. Yep. Aisha Kreutz is moving on to bigger and better things. She looked back at me and she said, I ain't got time for your next steps. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. When we went on 5 days a week, Rosemary, we didn't get she just, she lives way out in Medina. That's like an hour and a half ride, but she does come on once in a while. And hey, by chance, Senorita Aisha Kreutz, if you're listening, give us a call, right? Let everybody know you're there and the great things you're doing. And check this out. Aisha Kreutz is the one who ran. She was the campaign manager for the run against Proposition 1 this year, done a phenomenal job. Like I showed earlier this week, 9 out of the 11 counties that the Coalition to Protect Kids was able to target, right? Because, money is tight. And that's a whole nother show one day. I'll bring her on to talk about all that. But they actually voted against Prop 1 more than they voted for Trump in many of these blue counties in New York State. Yep. So, I'm going to reference something that happened in California because, see, I believe that things like this, even though crime has been around for a while, but it seems that some of these really crazy crimes, aside from shooting and killing people like we see on a daily basis with our youth in Rochester and Monroe County and really New York State as a whole, and in California. But man, I'll tell you, these people were creative. No one got killed, but they stole some money in a really weird way. Right? In California, a few people were charged in a bizarre bear costume insurance fraud scheme. Now, what before I saw this, I was watching a YouTube about bears that were actually going into cars. Like there was a bear that was trying to figure out how to open a door in a car. And then when he did, he literally got in the car, sat in the front seat, closed the door, and then I see this in the news. So basically what happened, there were 4 Los Angeles men that have been charged with fraud after claiming a bear caused damage to their luxury cars. Dude, ladies and gentlemen, they were wearing a bear costume to stage the attack for insurance payout. Now, look, this is a 26-year-old, a 39-year-old, a 32-year-old, and then another 39-year-old. They all have names that I can't pronounce. So I'm going to assume that most of them, are either here legally or are here, whatever the case may be. I can't pronounce the names, but why? Two 39-year-olds, a 32-year-old, and a 26-year-old, right? They say that the men reported a bear attack on January 28th in Lake Arrowhead, claiming that the animal caused significant damage. Man, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty darn creative. So I guess if you're going to be a crime, right? But um, but what gets me is this, right? From what I gathered, from everything that I saw, it was pretty straightforward. And when you look at the video, but you see the Department of what is it called? The Department of Insurance. Yep, California Department of Insurance enlisted a biologist from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to confirm that the footage showed was clearly a human wearing a bear suit. Man, I'll tell you, you just cannot make that stuff up at all whatsoever. And you know what? Hey, kudos to you guys for being able to pull that off. That is like way more work than I'd want to do to steal something. But anyways, here in New York State, back in January 2024, um, Hocus Pocus, the governor of New York State, right? She proposed some pretty significant legislative changes to New York State's hate crime status in response to what she calls a rise in bias motivated offenses. Now, the thing is this. Remember a few clips that I've played, and I don't want to play them again because they're just annoying to me, right? Where she and Governor Cuomo pretty much said, if you don't agree with their statements, you don't agree with their policies, you don't agree with their beliefs, you don't have a place in New York State. And those beliefs happen to be things like, well, if you believe in God, if you believe in traditional marriage, if you believe in what else? Entrepreneurship, right? Without government interference. If you believe in the Second Amendment, if you're conservative, I mean, these are things that they're saying, right? But then, when she's putting this out, she comes up with a statement that is totally contrary, right? This is the hocus pocus part, the part that Malcolm X makes reference to. Bob, can you play that first clip? Unless you disagree with her philosophy, unless you disagree with what they're saying is right or wrong. See, because in New York State, you cannot have independent thought. Now this is what gets me is, again, I grew up here. I have disagreements with people. I have disagreements with people in my family. I have disagreements with my employees. We will say, oh, I love Kamala, and I'm like, well, she's like just scary. The thought of that woman being president was just scary, right? But that's okay to say. I can have that opinion. Well, why is it that makes me the bad guy? Mira, when we come back here in unos minutitos, we're going to continue this conversation. 346-3000, 866-552-1009. Hornell, I'd love to hear from you. No cambie ese dayo. Soy yo, your conservative Nuyorican, and the voice of liberty. We'll be right back. For my listeners on Facebook, I'll tell you I will have that connection between the feed coming in from the station and social media. When I'm in studio, there's never an issue, but when I'm remote, I'm going to work on that. So I promise I will have that fixed here shortly. I thought I did this morning, but boy, did I let my own stuff down? But I'll get it done. We'll be right back. Hey, I love that song. Thanks, Bob. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Hey, can somebody kind of like text or call and just kind of share that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. quote with Hocus Pocus? Maybe she can realize that, well, gee, if we start talking more about love, people can actually take their next steps. Mira, welcome back to the Next Step Show. Soy yo, tu conservative New Rican. Thank you for hanging with us. Y mira, Rosemary, please don't be good and just listen. We've got to hear from you, ladies and gentlemen, from you too. 346-3000. See, or call us toll free 866-552-1009. Absolutely. So, I had played that clip that Kathy Hochul said some time ago, and then in 2003, I think that's when she said that. There were about a 1,089 reported hate crime incidents statewide, marking a 69% increase since 2019, and the highest number since the Hate Crime Act of 2000 mandated data collection. Right now, check this out. Anti-Semitic anti-Semitic incidents constituted a significant portion of those crimes, with Jewish individuals being the target in approximately 44% of all crime incidents and 88% of religion-based hate crimes. But like Rosemary said on Facebook, right? In New York State, if you believe that abortion is wrong, or if you say, hey, the alternative lifestyles it isn't for me, all of a sudden you're some phobic of something. All of a sudden you're hating people, which, God, other than political ideology, how does that even make sense? It doesn't make sense to me. Not even un poquito, right? I mean, when you look at biblical quotes like, "Hey, don't be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good," or Theodore Roosevelt, who said, that, by the way, that was Romans 12, verse 21. When you look at Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there." How come we're not promoting that kind of stuff? See? I mean, instead, what she does with that legislation back in January 2024, her proposed legislative changes shifts hate crimes from 66 to 97, including things like graffiti and arson, gang assault, first-degree rape. Greg, thank you for calling the Next Step Show, hermano. Likewise. Uh, Oh man, things are beautiful out here. Things are great. You know something, and again, this isn't a plug for Trump. I asked some of the employees here because some of them, they look more like me than you, and they're like, I love working here. We're treated like people. I 100% agree. Well, except for one, Greg. Absolutely. There's one pick I didn't really agree with. Take who do you think it would have been? I'll let you pick that one. I'll get you in trouble. Why? Oh. Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, that is Greg Sadwick. He will be guest hosting my show next week, and the thing is this, ladies and gentlemen, all next week I'm going to be in the middle of the ocean, so I'm not going to have a lot of connectivity, and I've got great great guest host, el Señor Sedgwick, who an individual who I think you're my friend, Baba. I hope you're not offended by that. So, Greg, well, I got you on the line. Can I deviate from my show a little bit and just ask you a couple questions in regards to the race that we just had? So how do you feel with the outcome? Absolutely. And when you look at the west side of the county that pretty much voted for Trump, and then the east side did not, uh, you know, and I don't want to get you in trouble, but I do want to ask you, what do you think we can do locally to start shifting this? Because Trump only lost a state by 11%, which means that there's a lot of opportunity for growth. Absolutely. Greg, the calls are piling up, sir. I'm going to have to let you go. Thank you so much for calling, ladies and gentlemen. That was El Honorable, the Honorable Greg Sadwick, right? He'll be on my show covering it on Monday. So please, please, please make sure you listen and call Rose from Pittsford. Oh, sorry, Charles from Pittsford. I'm doing great, sir. And yourself? Uh huh. Absolutely. And you know what? I will say publicly that I'm going to agree with you. And in that respect, phenomenal pick. And really, it's the EPA. How much, I mean, what damage can he possibly cause there? Yeah. Can we keep him away from the governor's office? I sure hope so. Hey, Charles, can I ask you something on the recent elections? Now, I understand you're from Pittsford, and Pittsford voted more towards Kamala and in favor of most of the local candidates. How is it for you there? Ah, gotcha. Okay. Okay. That explains it. And listen, the town of Pittsford has a great supervisor. I had a show once where I kind of called out a decision that he had made publicly. And then later, as I talked to him, I was like, okay, you know what? I get it. I mean, I still think it was wrong, but I get it. And I learned a little bit more about him. And he's actually not a bad guy for Pittsford. And so, absolutely. Absolutely. Charles, I appreciate your call, sir. I really do. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is a phenomenal reason why we should be excited for Lizalden getting that pick. Mira, I'm going to come back in uno o dos minutos, see? And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this hate stuff. But if you want to share a comment, I'll gladly set my comment aside because it is Filibuster Friday. We'll be right back right here on the Voice of Liberty. Sí, la voz de libertad para mi panas y panos. Thank you. Hey, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. Holding on to hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Yeah, of course. And what gets me is that Hocus Pocus didn't end her nonsense in January 2024. See, and instead of putting programs into place that teaches hard work, that teaches unity, and this got to stop the focus on equity, on outcome, right? Because if I'm focused on the outcome and I'm looking at the person next to me, right, and they're getting the nice cars and the nice house and everything else that they want, right? Well, when you look at Trump, right, of course you're going to have animosity, right? You're going to drink that and you're going to poison yourself and you're going to die expecting they are. And that is exactly what Hocus Pocus, the buffoon, and these local jokers, and the Monroe County clerk, and the Monroe County executive, and even in the legislative body are trying to push on us. Are trying to push on us. Insanity. So Governor Hochul launches, and I mentioned this a little bit before, the Call Out Hate campaign to combat hate and bias in New York State. Hey, by chance, did you know that the New York State Division of Human Rights established a hate and bias prevention unit in December of 2022? I bet you didn't know that. Their intent is to help community address prejudices and discrimination. The HBPU response team provides support to communities affected by bias or hate. You know what? Don't have a differences of opinion in this state. You just might find yourself visited by a response team saying, "Why are you being hateful?" And you're going to say, I disagree with that individual. How is that hateful? And then they're going to say to you something like this. Bob, if you don't mind with the second clip. All right. I say this: send Hocus Pocus to Detroit. Although I have to say, Michigan did vote for, Trump did win that state. So, but Detroit still holds, right? The two gentlemen I had on yesterday, Dante and Isaiah, although if they're listening, they're probably like, don't send that woman to the state. Don't send that woman to the city. I mean, the Chicago mayor, I can't remember his name, talking about he's not going to endorse or support anything that Trump does. Give me a break, dude. That's hate speech. That is holding on to hate is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That's literally what these people are doing. Literally. So she says, as in Hocus Pocus, hate has no place in New York State. And it is critical that we come together to prevent any person from enduring discrimination or feeling endangered because of hateful rhetoric or acts. You know what? Go to Detroit. Go to Detroit. Go to Detroit, woman. I bet you she has stinky breath. I'm just kidding. Okay, that was mean. I feel horrible now. No, I don't. Anyways, check this out, right? Maybe that illegal alien, thank you, Rosemary, for reminding me, right? In the Lake and Riley murders, right? Where the illegal alien from New York was released from New York State. Then he went to Georgia. Well, yeah, I mean, well, I'll tell you what. Maybe she should talk to him of hate because he was released and under her 2024 legislative changes, right? Remember the added ones amongst many others: graffiti, arson, gang assault, first degree rape, criminal possession of a weapon. Those are all hate crimes now. So how the heck did this guy, who's an illegal alien, was able to leave New York, go to Georgia, and it's only now that we may see some kind of accountability. Although I think we all know exactly where that's going to go. And the thing is, much of her call out hate campaign is going to be focused on New York City subways, Metro North, and Long Island Railroad cars. And it's going to be incorporated statewide into educational events, reinforcing the message that hate has no home in New York. Well, maybe Trump can appoint her to something along with Lee Zeldin, and then they both can just kind of go away and be busy. I think that's a phenomenal option, don't you? I hope so. Anyways, enough of all that because we know what's happening here, right? Is that they are absolutely, and this is what makes them so angry that Trump won and that we have the House and the Senate. This is what makes them so angry at the picks that they're having, right? This is what makes them so angry that Trump is saying we are going to stop the child abuse. That's why they're mad. Because their whole intent was to derail the Constitution. You could see it in everything that they're doing. They're not even lying anymore. They're not even lying anymore. Right? We argue that expanding hate crime statuses could lead to unequal application of the law as determining biased motivations. I just played a clip that said, you slanted-eyed orange guys, send them to Detroit. I mean, it's a joke. It's a part of a movie. But I bet you that there's people out there right now seething on the left, maybe even on the right, right? Because, Archie Bunker, I play that all the time. Whatever happened to that kind of dialogue? We don't need more hate crime laws. We need we need less laws and more people in elected office, more leaders, more religious leaders, right? More faith-based leaders that are sitting there just talking about God, country, family. It is not that difficult, right? I've got 5 kids, and you talk to all my kids, and they'll tell you we love everybody. I'm a Hispanic guy, see, from the ghetto of Rochester's, New York. And guess what? I married a white woman. Well, Italian, but because once that shifted more, and then all of a sudden now they're white. I'm assuming eventually Puerto Ricans will be considered white too. I don't know, because in America, right, the only thing that these politicians seem to care about is how is it that they can keep us separated. Now, hang on one second there for a minuto, because it isn't just the Democrats. The Republicans do it too. That's why I've always said Political ideology be damned. And just like Republicans are probably there sitting, Peter, I don't think that way. And I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative. That is true. But just like all Republicans don't think that way, actually, I have to assume less do, nor do all Democrats. So just like we shouldn't sit here and say, we're not going to discriminate against race, we shouldn't be discriminating against one's political beliefs or one's faith belief either. Listen, I've been wearing my Jesus shirt. See, you see it, right? Work hard, play hard. I've got the fish with the cross. If you're looking at, and I say in the bottom, property of God. Do you know how many looks I've gotten from some of the people in elevators and others? I saw a lady pull in with a gorgeous Jeep recently. Gorgeous. But what made it even more gorgeous was that in the front, her front plate said, Jesus is king. And then she told me she was at a business here locally. She's from the local area. She said, I went in to conduct a transact on business there. And basically they said, hey, great Jeep, except for the front plates. She's like, I almost walked out. I'm like, you should have. I would have. Right? But that's the kind of hate that these elected people, the buffoon in the White House, hocus pocus, and literally the entire county government here in Monroe County is exactly spewing. Listen, the clerk was on another show recently saying the same thing. Nothing to do with the clerk. Hey, real quick, before we get to the end of the show, know this, right? Today, all right? Today is a beaver moon. It is a super moon. And the cool thing about it is that at 4:29 p.m. Eastern this afternoon, you'll be able to go out there and see this moon coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, it can't be all about politics. It can't be all about hate. It can't be all about just, you got to do you. Take some time today, ladies and gentlemen. Take some time today, right? And stop holding on to any hate whatsoever. Don't drink it. Don't be part of it. Don't promote it. And just show love, God, country, family. Be a leader, be a leader, be a leader. And say, leadership is the beacon that will always guide me. Mira, no que te olvide aquí on the Voice of Liberty, we siempre te amamos y por seguro. God bless this United States of America. See you in a week. Correct. I'll be in on the 25th.